Hey y'all, CB here at MBS Welding. There's a lot of questions about how I do aluminum prep on that last aluminum video. So I wanted to go over a few things about the way I use different stuff. On the sanding, I sand the aluminum, use the beeswax. I use a 4.5 inch rubber backer with a 5-inch sanding pad. I like to do this. I don't want the rubber anywhere near the edge. I think it increases the chance of this rubber making contact and contaminating when I'm trying to work the edge. I've also, see that? I put a 5-inch pad on backwards and then another 5-inch pad on the right way. And the pad that I put on there backwards is usually the used one. It stiffens the very edge of this, so you can sand with the very edge. And it's stiff enough. This is the way, I've been doing this for a long time and it works really well. The beeswax, this is critical with the tools. You see that surface? This will still sand a bunch of aluminum, even though it looks galled up. You get this spinning, you take your beeswax, you go zzz, get a little beeswax on your sanding pad, and that's the way you keep it from galling up your aluminum. Same thing with the burr bits, but with the burr bits, this is a burr bit for steel. You see how the teeth are close together. This is a burr bit for aluminum. See how the teeth are really far apart? The ones for aluminum, go to my Amazon storefront for this stuff. In the description of my videos, there's a link to my Amazon storefront. You can go and you can look at this stuff. Now, when I run the burr bits, I use the beeswax. I'll run this burr bit on the job just enough to get it warm. And when it's warm, I'll just rub that beeswax on it. Spin it around with my hand and rub that beeswax on it. And it'll kind of melt onto that burr bit, and that'll keep it from galling up with the aluminum. If you don't have the beeswax on the burr bit or on the sanding pad, you're going to have trouble with aluminum. It galls everything up. I've had people say you can use oil. Oil can contaminate. You don't want oil where you're going to be welding. I've had people suggest other things. One person said use soap. Maybe that works. I'm not going to try it. You know, there's like sodium hydroxide and different chemicals that can be in soap. I don't know what happens when you heat that. I'm comfortable getting beeswax on my aluminum. If there's some residual beeswax on my aluminum and I weld it, it's not a problem. It's not a problem for me to breathe it. I know it's not an issue and I'm not going to try anything else. When I find something that works, it's hard to get me to change. On the power brushing, see how this is a fine power brush? A stainless steel power brush, you're going to want it on a lower RPM tool. You don't want to be power brushing aluminum with one of these 10 or 12,000 RPM grinders. And you see this knotted wheel? The way these are knotted, it makes them tougher. This is better for steel, but this is not what you want on aluminum. This will actually damage your aluminum. For the power brushing, you're going to want one of these lower RPM tools, and you're going to want the finer mesh power brush. And then your final cleaning, your stainless steel toothbrush. Use these a lot too. And I get these, these are on my Amazon storefront. You get a big box full of these because they're going to get contaminated too. And you want to be able to use it and just chuck it and get you another one if this gets messed up. It's kind of the same thing with my markers. I use these markers. I use them for a lot of stuff, but I end up using them on aluminum a lot. Because they mark aluminum real good. These are good permanent markers, but the ones I use, these are on my Amazon storefront. You get like a huge box of 100 of these for like 20 bucks. And like I always say, I've used the really nice, expensive ones and stuff, and I mess those up too. So if I'm going to take a huge chance of messing it up, smashing it, dropping it in grease, oil, bunch of powdery dust or something that's going to screw it up, I want the cheap one that works. And these are cheap and they work. They work really well for a cheap one, but it doesn't hurt my feelings when I destroy one of them because I don't have a bunch of money in it. So that's rundown. I wanted to give a little rundown on the aluminum prep because I've got a lot of questions about it. Y'all learn to work with what you got, and that way you always have everything you need.